Marketing, sales, and service people, welcome. It's me, Mr. Cheney, with a brilliant marketing textbook lecture. This is chapter 4. It is called Marketing Basics, and it is exactly that. This is a kind of core base chapter, particularly for the precision exams that we'll be doing. So getting this information kind of under our belt is really going to be crucial in passing some of those assessments for your certifications to go in your resume, but more importantly, just to learn marketing. So I'm going to go through the slide decks. I'll call out some chapter headings, that sort of thing, and you will be answering questions within this video. So in chapter 4, we have 4 different sections. 4.1, changes in today's marketing. 4.2 is plan a marketing strategy. 4.3, consumers and competitors. And 4.4 is the varied role of marketing. Just as a summary of what we did yesterday, we did a walkthrough of the textbook, and I just kind of showed you how this textbook is set up and how a lot of textbooks are set up. So remember, when we're going through the text, that our kind of purple dots up here in the left corner will tell us where we are in our main section, so 4.1 in this case, and then right here, this little green graphic, they use that for subheadings, so 4.1.1. So when you're going back and forth between text and slide, you can actually find information a little faster. And then these headings here, on this slide you can't really tell, but it's orange. In the textbook it's orange, and these are kind of like the section headings that you can kind of usually find the information that you're looking for. So let's move on with the actual work of the slides. Get this out of the way. Alright, so in 4.1 we're going to explain how marketing practices today differ from those in the past, and we're going to explain why marketers need to understand their customers when applying the marketing concept. So how marketing has changed from few to many, and from independence to integration. So when we were talking about kind of the caveman days, there were very few trades and skills, and if there were, basically you had to do most of everything for yourself and then maybe barter, and that kind of ties in with the independence thing. But now we're talking about integration of lots of central markets. So key term number 1, integrated. Definition is this: marketing is involved in all important business decisions and considered an essential part of the business. So when asked about the definition, when it relates to marketing, integrated is that. And now another part of how marketing has changed from the past, we went from problems to opportunities. So what they mean by that is, basically, if we go back to those same kind of caveman days, they were basically just trying to stay alive, not get eaten by wild animals, find food that didn't kill them, like wild mushrooms, poisonous mushrooms and that sort of thing. So they were just trying to, figure solutions to problems. Now it's all about opportunities and maximizing opportunities. So key term number 2, market opportunities. Here on the slide deck and in the textbook in section 4.1.1, it is this: new markets as well as ways to improve a company's offerings in current markets. Identified markets with excellent potential based on careful research. Okay, other ways that marketing has changed, from expense to investment, and from product to market orientation. Okay, so for these two, this is where we're going to be able to take advantage of our textbook savvy, and these are headline sections in the textbook on page 93 in the orange, and I want you to read through the details of that because they will help with the checkpoint question. Okay, checkpoint question for 4.1.1 is this: how do today's marketing practices differ from those used in the past? This is where in this video it will be paused. I will actually take the answer for that exact question, or I will make it into a multiple choice or true false. So I will pause here and then go to the next section. Alright, so in section 4.1.2 we're talking about what does marketing mean to a business. So in the textbook they talk about reliable auto service. They talk about Derek's Designs, and they talk about focusing on on customer needs. So these are orange subheading sections in the textbook on page 94 and 95 that I want you to read through. And the checkpoint question will be based off of those sections, so it's important for us to read pages 94, 95, and 96. And the checkpoint question is this: what different approach to marketing planning is required of businesses that use the marketing concept? Again, based on those 3 sections on the past 3 pages, you will be able to answer that question. Moving on, we're going to go to lesson 4.2 part of the lesson, and this is called Plan a Marketing Strategy. So for the 3 subsections, we have 4.2.1 is we're going to describe how the marketing concept transforms business planning. 4.2.2, we're going to explain the importance of understanding the customer. And 4.2.3, we're going to discuss how businesses develop the right marketing mix. Okay, so key term, strategy. A plan that identifies how a company expects to achieve its goals. And so if we're in our textbook, that's going to show up in blue just like it is here in the slide deck, and you're going to see the word strategy on page 97 in section 4.2. So how does the marketing concept affect planning? So without the marketing concept, you would develop a product, you would decide on marketing activities, and identify potential customers. So this was the old way of doing things. So kind of Apple's still a little guilty of this. They'll come up with a product and they're like, hey, here's this cool little product, and then they'll make a bunch of cool, slick marketing activities, and they'll sell a bunch of it. They'll figure out who they think their potential customer might be, but they're not necessarily, at least in the past, making their product with the customer in mind. With the marketing concept, they conduct research to identify potential customers and their needs first, and then they develop a marketing mix. So that's going to be a mix of product, distribution, price, promotion that meets a specific customer need in any one of those 4 parts of the mix or a combination of those. And then number 3, they develop a plan for adapting to changes in customer needs. So the product is not the product until they've gotten all of their research into what the customer actually wants and needs. So, checkpoint question for section 4.2.1 is this: what is the name for a plan that identifies how a company expects to achieve its goals? And that was just explained. So, moving on. Understanding the customer in section 4.2.2. So, we need to identify customer needs and satisfying customer needs. Those are the 2 main things. So here are some key concept terms that we're going to need to know. So in blue again here on the slide deck and in the textbook. So we have market segment, which is a group of similar consumers within a larger market. So if we are thinking about our Blue Nation student store, a market segment could be students, a market segment could be adults, a market segment could be female, a market segment could be just freshmen. So it's a group. Term 2, market opportunity analysis, is studying and prioritizing market segments to locate the best potential based on demand and competition. And target market is a clearly defined segment of the market to which a business wants to appeal. So going back to market segment, when you've identified all the different types of market segments, then your target market's the one that you actually want to go after and actually market to. Okay, so checkpoint for 4.2.2 is this: what is a market segment? So this is essentially just a definition. Okay, moving on to the next section. Planning the offering. So you have the marketing mix and creating the right mix. So under those subsections, and we're talking about pages 100, we're talking about pages 101, 102, all the way into 103, I believe, a little bit. So in those 3 pages, they are talking about those concepts about developing products, about making distribution decisions, about pricing products and services within that mix. and it's all centered around customer satisfaction. So all four of those: the promotion, price, distribution, and product, with the customer in the center of all of those decisions. So checkpoint question for 4.2.3 is this: why should marketing mix elements be planned together rather than separately? Okay. Section 4.3, it is called Consumers and Competitors. Our two subsections, 4.3.1, is this: detail the stages of consumer decision making. 4.3.2, we're going to explain how businesses can use the marketing concept in various types of competition. So we have two key concepts here under consumer decision making. Number one is this: decision, a choice among alternatives. It's just a pure definition of the word decision. And then want, a culturally defined way the consumer can fill a need. So these two definitions, decision and want, are straight up right in the first section on page 105 in the textbook, and so the same definitions apply right there under the heading of consumer decision making. And they're going to go through, the stages of a decision and that sort of thing coming up in the next sections on page 105 and 106. So, the stages of a decision. So, you recognize a need, you identify alternatives, you evaluate choices, you make a decision, and you assess satisfaction. Now, the details of all these 5 parts of the stages of a decision there are paragraphs in the textbook with subsections, like actually identifying what they are. So, for details on this, so you can answer the questions, page 106 is going to be golden for you. And then part of this consumer decision making is marketers relying on information. So that is a section that starts on 106, goes into 107. So the main concept of this section, marketers relying on information, they talk about how, everybody or most people, when they think of marketers, they think about creativity, but what good is creativity basically if you don't know what your customer needs? So a lot of that has to do with marketers getting more and more into conducting market research so that they can know what those needs are. And so they organize the research, they analyze the data, they collect the research afterwards, and then they use the data results to actually build their marketing mix after that. Okay, so checkpoint for 4.3.1 is this: what are the 5 stages in the consumer decision-making process? And you can find those on page 106 or the slide that we just went over. Okay, so the section about responding to competition. So you have intense competition, and the 2 subsections for that would be pure competition and oligopoly. So with pure competition, think like farmer's market kind of. So it's pure competition is like there's a lot of people offering pretty much the same thing. So if you have 20 booths and 15 of them are offering strawberries and tomatoes, that's a pure competition thing, and so you're very limited in how you can differentiate yourself. And then oligopoly is like there are a few very strong players. So even now the cell phone industry is kind of that way. There are 3 or 4 main people who do it, like Verizon and T-Mobile and AT&T. So it's not like you have a huge choice of people. There are 3 like main ones. So those are the ones for intense competition. Then you've got limited competition. They talk about monopoly, and then you've got monopolistic competition, which you can read more about on page 109. Okay, so checkpoint for 4.3.2. Why is the marketing concept useful for businesses facing monopolistic competition? And you're going to be able to answer that question quite effectively with the information that's on page 109 and 110. Okay, last section, the varied role of marketing. 4.4.1, we're going to explain how the role of marketing differs in various types of businesses. And then 4.4.2, identify ways marketing is used by non-business organizations. So marketing in the business world is the section heading for this in 4.4.1. And basically you've got producers and manufacturers, and there are 2 different types of strategies that they operate under. And you've got the pull strategy and you have the push strategy. Pull strategy is this: producer promotes the product directly to the customer so that the customer will request the product from retailers, who will then request the product from the producer. And then you have the push strategy, which is the producer promotes the product to wholesalers and retailers, who will then in turn promote the product to customers. So basically, the pull strategy, the manufacturer is actually just going straight to customer and saying, hey, we have this really cool thing, make sure the people who sell stuff get our stuff. And then push strategy is basically that same manufacturer is saying, hey guys, you retailers and wholesalers, we have this cool thing, we think your customer would like this, so you should carry our product. Then you have your channel members, more key terms. Channel of distribution is a key term. It's the organizations and individuals who participate in the movement and exchange of products and services from the producer to the final consumer. So that can be everything from the ship to the trucks actually driving across the country. It could be everything in between. So, and that's manufacturing, producing, marketing, everything within the channel of distribution. And then you have channel members, which are the businesses used to provide many of the marketing functions during that distribution process. And lastly, they talk about service businesses on page 112. So checkpoint for 4.4.1 is what? What unique marketing challenges do service businesses face? So that is going to be in the half page on page 112. You'll find the answer to that question. All right, marketing by non-business organizations, 4.4.2. Key term, non-business organization. They focus on something other than providing products and services for a profit. You may have heard the term NGO, so that's where they're talking about government agencies, nonprofit organizations, and then support for non-business organizations is in section 4.4.2 on page 114 and 115. So the checkpoint question for that is, why is marketing important to non-business organizations? So the ones that aren't necessarily looking for a profit, is marketing still important? And that's it. So if you've answered the questions within this video, then you are reasonably assured that you have the base information for chapter 4 and actually the base information moving forward for our precision exam study. See you back in class.